Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This is the second book in the or the Red Rising series. And this is 442 pages and 51 chapters. So the first book, Red Rising, was kind of Hunger Games-ish. There was the Institute. Yeah. And so this here is afterwards, right? The main character, Darrow, gets taken in by the arch-governor, just the governor of Mars, but he loses at the academy. So the Institute was like up close and personal, leading individuals. The academy is leading ships and fleets and that kind of thing. And then starts a civil war. So the way things are is there's the House of Mars and that family, and then there's the Bellona family, who, they're kind of at odds, and they're kind of the two major players. And then there's like the Sovereign. So the Sovereign, has people in and out of favor, but they're at seat in Luna. Like, so on the moon, there is the seat of the whole empire thing, whatever you want to call it. Society is what they call it, with all the colors, right? Gold is at the top, and then you've got silver, black, gray, orange, blue, red. Red is at the bottom. And so there's pink in there too. And really, this whole society was based on keeping and maintaining order and hierarchy throughout multiple planets. When they left Earth, they needed more structure. And at the beginning, it was like surgical, like literally their hair, their eyes, their hands, like there's marks on their bodies, and those are those colors. So there's, golden eyes, red eyes, you get the idea. So at first it was surgical, and then as they, eventually reproduced, it just became that way. So I don't really know what happens when two colors mix. I don't know if two colors are able to mix and reproduce. So that's an interesting question there. But Ragnar is an obsidian, and he is my favorite character. So I think that isn't intentional, and I hope that author keeps him around. I don't know. I have a bad history of losing favorite characters, but I don't know. So this is kind of more Game of Thrones than Hunger Games, and really the main character makes an alliance with the Jackal. So in the Institute, the main character chopped off the Jackal's hand, and so there's probably a good chance that he's holding it against him, and it's gonna bite him later. So we learned a lot more about society's politics through this ball or gala or whatever you want to call it. And we learn more about the Sovereign, the Ash Lord, the Olympic Knights, and Aya is like the main super hardcore. I think she's like sister to the Sovereign or something, but she's like super warrior princess kind of thing. So the Ash Lord is like the fleet commander. He ended up destroying a moon, a Jupiter moon, and that's how he got the name Ash Lord, because he turned the moon to ash. The Sovereign, she beheaded her father in order to take the throne. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. There is Darrow gets invited in to play this like game where they have like these scorpion things around their wrists, and the Sovereign and Darrow take turns telling truths or asking questions, and asking and answering questions, and it only ends when somebody lies. So Darrow wins, gets some interesting information about secret bases and stuff. So I don't know. I get that they needed a lot of information in a short time, but that seems kind of like risky for the leader to be like, hey, here's my secret bases. Anyways, so that was the Oracle's game of questions. It was a neat touch because it was kind of like spacey, kind of like freaky, not something that typically somebody on Earth would do. So, that was kind of cool part of science fiction. The duel starts a civil war between, the Mars house and the Bellona, and that was kind of building because Darrow killed one of the younger brothers of Bologna brothers in the Institute. They put everybody in put two people in every room, and they said, take the other person out and grab the ring and get out of here. And, so he had to take out, just to get in, he had to take somebody out. And so that kind of started like a blood feud, and then it grew to a civil war. And here we are. This book, we find out who Ares is. So that is cool, because the whole first book is kind of like, is he, is it a dude? Is it a woman? Is it a group of people? Like, what's going on? Shadow, ghost, not real? Is it a computer? So we definitely find out the identity. Very cool. The attempt is to retake Mars after the Lunar Gala, and there ends up being an Iron Rain. Super cool. Very, for the whole, like, series, it's very, like, historic, very, like, it's just a powerful image of, thousands of gold and obsidian troopers just like streaming from the sky, from space, landing. Very cool. Very, it's fictional, but it's an iconic kind of image and very cool. So, stealing of ships. I really like that concept. You think of like space battles, you think of destroying, but the goal was really crippling. Like, if you cripple a ship and you're the fleet commander, you can then take over and that ship becomes part of your fleet. That makes perfect sense. And I really struggle sometimes with, space and, the cost, right? Like it is important to have a fleet. And if you lose ships, capturing other ships is a way to replenish that lost cost. So very cool. Liked that a lot. Renaming of the ship to Pax, very cool. Lost comrade. Big fan. A big part of this was the cost. War has a price. You lose your friends, you lose your comrades, you lose your ships, all kinds of stuff that really isn't normally talked about. It's just like, oh, we're going to go into battle, yay. But this, really, there was a cost, and I like that. The cliche, the rubber meets the road with your plans, that happened multiple times here. Very cool. Liked that part. I think the bottom of the riverbed, I was like, it's over. This is the last book. this is the way it ends. So the despair there was very real. Liked that. Disliked, they revealed the main character's red identity. I didn't like that. I don't know how to describe it. It just didn't sit right with me. I think that was intentional. Like, the wrong move, they can't make the perfect move every time, and that was a misstep, and so that was part of it. Like, you screw up as part of living. So the visiting the Lycos mine, the whole time I was like, don't do it, don't go there, this is a bad idea, don't do it. So like that whole like scene or two, I was just like, no, get out of there. Bad idea. So but really, this is pseudo, like, it felt a lot like Game of Thrones in space. Lots of backstabbing, lots of killing, lots of politics, lots of power grabs. I really enjoyed the first one, and this one is much different from the second. This is the second one, and it's much different from the first one. So if you read the first one and stop, that'd be okay. This one is almost as good. I really enjoyed the first one, but this is almost as good. One quote here, the dead can always hear us, my love. Why else do you think we sing? We want them to know that even though they are gone, we can still find joy. Lots of death and sorrow and loss in this one, and that was very interesting, the way that they cope and deal with their losses. They sing and not celebrate, but honor the dead and also the living. So good book, good series. If you liked the first one, give this one a try. It's worth your time. And remember to buy your books used.